The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
It is time for Darkside of the Pooch. This is Tony Kurre along with Dr. Reb Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. On today's show, pet myths debunked, the cost of owning a dog. We'll also have a local grocery store who's making a lot of pet owners a little chivalrous and not very, very happy about what's going on with that. And also, Dr. Rab is an uncle. Welcome to Dark Side of Pooch, brought to you by Ed's Pet World. Ed's Pet World for all kinds of great exotic pets. You got a great story to tell about them. Just a second here, 879-1331. They've got it all, man. They got chinchillas. They got tarantulas. If you were watching our Facebook Live last week, you saw a Cayman crocodile that was on the show. We had bearded dragons. They've got it all. Check them out. They do a wonderful job. Angie and, of course, Seth and everyone else. And Seth now also, of course, has his own toy store, which is right down there in Homewood. They do boxed up stuff, collectibles, watches, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars stuff, Legos, and more. Check out Ed's Pet World, in business for 50 years. But I want to thank you and congratulate you on being an uncle to 3 new guinea pigs. Congratulations to you, Dr. Rab.
It's really monumental. It's surreal feeling, to be an uncle to guinea pigs. It's something that I never even thought to strive for, but now that I've accomplished it, it's a real feeling of pride.
You have to admit, I'm assuming since you're a veterinarian, you've seen baby guinea pigs before.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are probably the cutest animal in the animal kingdom when it comes to being babies. I mean, they're I asked my daughter, I said, what's cuter, a puppy or a guinea pig? She said, oh, a guinea pig by far. It's not even close. and it's funny because we just talked last week. I was going to stop in and see you last week and do an x-ray on Ariel, my pregnant. I thought she was pregnant, but she's been pregnant for a while. And the gestation period is like 62 days or something like that. And it just seemed like it was taking forever. And I thought, I don't think she's pregnant. I think it was wishful thinking. But then yesterday, I'm on the road, my phone rings, it's my daughter, and she is squealing for joy, and we got 3 little baby guinea pigs, so it's pretty doggone cool.
Isn't it amazing how they just handle their business? Like, just no fuss. Gonna have some babies, no big deal.
No, I mean, it really is. I mean, then there's nothing you have to do. And they're eating today. They're eating their parents' food today. They were born about 3:00 yesterday afternoon. They come out with fur, their eyes are open, and within 12 or 13 hours, they're done weaning. They're ready to eat food. And Timothy, hey, it's just an amazing thing, but they are super cute. So.
Yeah, so you know why that happens, right?
Oh.
So every wild animal is like that. And I guinea pigs are somewhat domesticated, I would say. They're not as domesticated as dogs, I mean, they can't learn the same things that dogs can learn, their mental capacity, but they are domesticated. They do live in our houses and stuff, but they're still technically, a wild animal.
Yeah.
And when wild animals have babies, those babies have to be ready to roll very quickly or they're going to get eaten.
Yeah.
They're going to end up as lunch for somebody. So
amazing.
That's why, you have horses, the minute they're born, they're able to jump up and start running, within a very short period of time. They have to, or they're going to die.
We also have something that's very rare. We have a gray albino guinea pig as part of our litter. And I wanted you to explain to people real quick what exactly being albino means. And a lot of people don't realize that, yes, you can have white fur, but you can also have different colored fur. Just because you're albino doesn't mean you're always white furred.
It's a color dilution, and it affects pigmentation. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't necessarily affect hair, but pigmentation. So, your skin color and your eye color. A lot of them will have red eyes and they'll have very, very white skin. So it's a color dilution.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. He's Dr. Rab Stewart. It's Dark Side of Pooch. You can hear it every Monday through Friday, 7:00 Central Time, right here on the TKR app. And by the way, we're in the works of actually adding another app. We're going to have TKR2, which means we're going to have all of our shows on one app and classic rock on another. We'll be having that come up a little bit later on September, so you can listen to all these great shows, including Dark Side of Pooch. And of course, wherever you get your podcast, we're available on every major industry right here. Just download the TKR app and you're good to go. The Kennel Club, the American Kennel Club, just recently came out with the cost of owning a dog. And they came out with their top 5 states where it's most expensive. And of course, their smaller 5 states that where it's the least expensive to own a dog. But the question I want to ask you, and of course, this is based on pet insurance premiums, vet care, dog food, grooming, toys, boarding, emergency vet visits, and so forth and so on. And they based this off the life of an 11-year-old Labrador. Do you want to take a stab at what it cost over the course of an 11-year-old Labrador's life to own a dog in California, which is where it's most expensive? Would you like to take a stab at that?
I'm going to guess. I'm always under on this, always. But I'm going to go 70,000.
70? Wow. Okay. That's crazy. $35,452.
See, I went way over because I'm always under.
Well, and you think about it, 35 grand divided by 11. So do the math, a little over $3,000 a month. That about makes sense. By the way, California, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Washington, your top 5. The least expensive states were Oklahoma at 24 grand, Mississippi, Indiana, Nebraska, and Louisiana. That's assuming, of course, that you're doing all the right things and getting their shots and all those other things. Of course, I know there's some people probably don't spend maybe $1,000 on their pet over the course of 11 years. But if you're doing all the right things and going to the Rossbridge Animal Hospital and having all the necessary shots and making sure your animal's got the health that it needs to live a wonderful life. Does that surprise you a little bit, though? I think when you I think for a human being, isn't it like over $1 million or something like that in order to bring an 18-year-old all the way out?
Yeah, that's what I heard. But
Yeah.
I think that I've heard that a few years ago. So it's probably like 8% more now.
Yeah.
So, you can tack on a few more thousand.
It makes you think twice when you're having that conversation, like every couple should before they get married. How many children do you want to have? How are we going to raise them? Where are we going to live? Who's going to work? Who's not going to work? You may want to throw in that, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you $980,000 to have each child you have. And for some reason, we always think that when you have a second or third, they're always cheaper. It doesn't work out that way.
No.
Yeah, that's a lot, but it's worth every stinking dime for sure. He's Dr. Rab Stewart, RossBridgeVet.com. And of course, the Rossbridge Vet on Twitter and the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. You can check it out on Facebook and you can listen to the show every Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Central Time right here at nighttime. That's why we call it Darkside of the Pooch. Stella and Chewy. By the way, we got lots of emails to get to info@TonyCurryRadio.net. We'll get to those in a second. Stella and Chewy recently threw a bunch of dog and cat myths at their subscribers to ask if they actually believe that they were true or not. And I want to go through about 7 of these, and I want you to chime in on each one. Is that cool?
Yeah, hopefully I know the answer.
All right. Well, I will tell you this, that every one of these are a myth. So you already know the answer, but you can expound on these. 68% of people believe that if a dog is wagging his tail, he's always happy.
Oh yeah, dogs wag their tail when they're nervous too. Some nervous wags
when they're giving you the whale eye, when they're looking out the side of their eye and they're wagging their tail. Not a good thing. 30, and we talked about this last week. 38% believe that if a dog's nose is wet, it's healthy. True or not?
Well, we talked about this before, and just because you have a wet nose does not mean you're healthy at all. Dogs with a dry nose can be healthy. And dogs with a wet nose can be really sick. Maybe they have a runny nose.
Does it bother you whenever you get home during the day and you don't wear shorts, I'm assuming, to work, but if you're out running around, you got shorts and the dog comes up and just wipes the snot on the back of your leg when you walk in the door? Don't you love that?
My dog, he doesn't get near me because he's afraid of me, because he thinks I'm going to bring him up here and give him shots or clean his teeth or, dog's like, every time I go near that guy, he looks at me, puts his finger in my ear. He looks at my eyes and tries to be sure that there's nothing wrong with me. And I don't like that.
That is hilarious. I wonder if children of pediatric doctors feel the same way.
Maybe so.
That is hilarious. 42% believe cats can see in the dark. True or not?
Say that one again.
42% of people said that cats can see in the dark.
Well, they can see better in the dark, but it's not like they have night vision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Their eyes are better in the dark, but they can't just they don't have night vision. 41% believe that all cats land on their feet.
Oh yeah, that's that. I've seen cats not land on their feet.
23% believe that all human food is bad for dogs, and 30% believe that cats specifically should not eat human food. Now, this is very interesting because they had a list of foods that cats can eat, but there are a lot of foods that cats can't eat. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, their dog food and cat food has, I mean, some ingredients in it that humans also eat. So, you can't just say that across the board that animals can't have any human food, because their food is kind of made up of some of the same things that we eat. But in a lot of ways, the way it's prepared or the things that are added to it, I'm talking about human food at this point, the way the human food is prepared or the things that are added into the human food can make them have an upset stomach or can be toxic to them. So, that's not correct 100% of the time.
Okay. Now, but cats are just smarter than dogs. We know that, right? So dogs will eat anything. Like I could give my dog zucchini or a pickle or like a shoestring. I mean, my dog will eat it. But cats are pretty finicky, aren't they? I mean, if something's not good for them, they normally won't eat it, right?
I don't think that they are any more aware of what's good for them or bad for them. Okay. I just think that they are much more selective when it comes to food. They don't, and it may be that, but it could also be the fact that they're just not capable of doing the things that dogs do. They're smaller, so maybe they can't knock the garbage can over and get into it.
Yeah.
Especially if it has a lid on it, whereas dogs can do that. But cats are not, they're not known to cause as much trouble in that area as dogs are. I think they're just more selective with their palate.
All right. The biggest myth, 89% of people believe that cats should and love drinking milk. Now, according to this article, cats are lactose intolerant. Is that true?
Yeah, you're not supposed to. I mean, they can have their mother's milk, of course, but they don't really get any nutritional value from the same milk that we drink, and it's not something that's necessary. It's not something that you should do. I think that's like maybe that came from Disney or something, from some movie in like the 30s.
Puss in Boots, something. You're probably right. It's true though, because I put a plate of milk out for Happy Cat when I had Happy Cat, and I thought, and she drank it. She loved it, so I figured she loved it. But I'm giving her a stomach ache.
Yeah. So I'm surprised to see that's the number one rated myth. I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, there you go. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Your emails, we always read them every single week here on Darkside the Pooch. You can hear the show 7:00 Central Time on the TKR app. Now available, of course, through Android and Apple. All you got to do is pull those three letters up, TKR, and you'll see the flaming guitar, and you're good to go. And classic rock to the boat around the clock at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter, rossbridgevet.com on their website, and of course also the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook. You want to knock out some emails here? Marcy in Brownsville, Texas. And by the way, they're getting hammered right now by this tropical depression, so our thoughts and prayers go out to Marcy. She said, besides fleas and ticks, are there any other types of mites or small bugs that can infest your dog? That's a good question. Yeah,
besides fleas or ticks, mites or small bugs. Yeah. Okay. They can get Demodex.
What are Demodex?
And really, it's mange.
Oh.
And it's a mite. And technically, all dogs have a small amount of it on their skin. It's part of their normal flora. But when they get too much of it, it causes a lot of hair loss, and it can cause crusting of the skin. Everyone knows what a quote unquote mangy dog looks like.
Yeah.
So Demodex is a mite. Scabies, I think a lot of people recognize that name. That's also a mite. And it causes severe itchiness, and they can have lesions associated with that too. Secondary lesions associated with the scratching. They can have ear mites. So these they're not quite microscopic, but they're really, really small. You can see them with an otoscope if you look really closely. But those are mites that live in the ears because the ears are dirty, and that's more common in young puppies. Really don't see it in adults, but if we see a puppy for the first time, from an area where maybe there are a lot of dogs present, big breeding operations where, the puppies maybe don't get the attention that they need. They'll come in with some ear mites, really easy to treat. And these, ear mites and Demodex, not something that people can get. People can get scabies. That is zoonotic. Shayla, which is called walking dandruff. That's an interesting kind of topical bug, but it looks just like dandruff. That's why they call it walking dandruff. But when you look at it under the microscope, it actually has legs and it moves around. It's not as common as the other ones that I just mentioned.
So here's the question that every pet owner right now is listening to the show wants to know. You said it's zoonotic. Are these things that can actually get on human beings and then we get infested with them?
Yeah, people get scabies for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. So the minute you start seeing those things, bring them into the Rossburg Animal Hospital, obviously. But is there anything over the counter, anything you can do, or just give them a bath, or is that not good enough?
No, most of this stuff you can't treat over the counter. You need kind of prescription strength stuff. You might be able to get some ear mite treatment over the counter, like a pet store. But Demodex and scabies and Shayla, you're gonna need some prescription strength stuff.
All right. Here's Dr. Rab Stewart. This is brought to you by Ed's Pet World down there in beautiful Homewood. They do wonderful work down there. 50 years, and I just had some baby guinea pigs. I got guinea pigs about 75 days, and boom, I got 3 guinea pigs. You get guinea pigs, you get sugar gliders, you get tarantulas. They got great fish down there. They got caiman crocodiles. They get the whole 9 yards. Check out Ed's Pet World, 879-1331. Zach in Hoover's asked a question I think that many men have asked for a long period of time. Why do male dogs have nipples, and why do any male animals have nipples?
I think it's just so that they don't look weird. I really do. Like, I think that, there's some times where we both have 3 kids, and sometimes the answer for me is because that's the way God wanted it. And I think that that's the way God wanted it.
We have no reason to have nipples, do we?
We don't. And I've really, my only answer is that it's just so we don't look weird, and or our wives don't look weird. I don't know the answer.
I actually had a friend of mine that had 3 nipples.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He had 2 nipples on his right side. It was the most bizarre thing ever. So he got him a lot of free drinks at bars, but
I've known people with a 3rd nipple too, and it's always a lot smaller. And in some ways it doesn't even, you wouldn't even call it a 3rd nipple. It's almost just like a small growth or something.
Yeah, almost looks like a mole kind of, but it's a nipple. It's there.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. All right, info@TonyCurryRadio.net. Steve in Tallapoosa has an issue here, and he wrote a really long email, so I had to read it a couple times, and I'm paraphrasing here. He has barbecues at his house a lot, and he loves his neighbors, and he invites his neighbors to come over all the time, and he's got a dog, and he's always been a dog person. He said, but my neighbors and my friends and even my family members always feel the need to bring their dogs with them whenever they come over for a barbecue. And I understand that we talked about this last week, that pets now are considered siblings. I know how important they are to the family dynamics. He said, but having 3 or 4 or 5 different animals in the house when I'm trying to barbecue with all my friends is getting on my nerves. And I'm trying to be soft and nice in a way of saying, listen, I love having you over at my house. And he has barbecues once every couple of weeks. But I really don't want you bringing your pets over here because they have accidents. They eat people's food. They're making a mess in the yard, if you know what I'm talking about. So he's like, please ask Dr. Reb what I can say or do to my friends or family members to let them know that their animals are not welcome. That's a hard one.
Yeah. And I think that, number one, if any of them listen to the show and we give him an excuse to say, they're going to know. So I hope they listen to the show at the same time. I hope they don't, because we're about to give you some really important information. Save your barbecues. First of all, you should be honest. You can blame it on your space or your yard, or that it's just kind of a hassle. But it takes a certain personality to do that, I think. And in the South, we try to be nice and cordial and, all that kind of thing. But if you could also just say your dog's sick, potentially, you can say, well, my dog's got diarrhea, it might be contagious, or it's been coughing. I think it's got kennel cough. So, you don't want your dog to come up here. Now, that excuse,
got some parvo over here.
Yeah. That excuse is only going to last, once. So you could use coughing, diarrhea, vomiting, flea infestation. So there's 4 excuses right there. You could say, it bit somebody and now he's in a rabies quarantine and like he can't be around any other dogs. So, we're making a little bit, making light of it a little bit. If you want to kind of stretch the truth there, or just telling all out lie. But, probably the best thing is, the other thing you could say is, look, I'm worried my dog might catch something from your dog. So I don't really, I just want, let's have my dog over here. I don't want him to get sick. So, those are all things you could say, but, sometimes honesty is the best policy to say, look, I just don't want the hassle.
RossBridgeVet.com is the website, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital on Facebook, at RossBridgeVet on Twitter. Check out all their wonderful social media. And of course, this is brought to you by Ed's Pet World, 50 years in the business and exotic pets and stuff. They do wonderful work. Angie and Seth, 879-1331. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. A local grocery store has posted a sign in front of their stores, and every one of their stores, I think they have like 135 stores, and some pet owners are not happy about it. We'll talk about that in just a second here. We got one last email, info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Vicky in Newport, Kentucky, right across the river from where I was born. She said recently she gave her dog a vet-prescribed anti-anxiety medicine for thunderstorms, and the dog has been in a stoop for the last 3 days. She's getting worried that he's not going to come out of it. What's going on?
Well, so medication can affect dogs differently. One dog, it might, especially the mood altering and behavioral medications. Sometimes it may affect dogs very little. Some it may, really affect them. Sometimes if they're given a medication and it has a profound sedative effect, it may be that the dog is also on another medication. So, for example, if you're given 2 mood altering drugs, like, something that would cause some central nervous system depression, which is what sedatives and mood altering drugs typically do. Then it can have a profound effect and give them something called serotonin syndrome, which can, really, put them on their butt for a little while. So I would say that it's either just a significant, profound effect of the medication, because the dog, that's just the way the dog was built. Maybe she gave a medication as well as giving the prescribed medication. So definitely look into that. Or it could be that the dog has a medical condition. Maybe it's got an undiagnosed, a non-symptomatic neurologic illness, or a hepatic, meaning liver illness, and the dog's having trouble metabolizing the medication, and then the medication stays in the body for longer than it typically would. So I would definitely call the veterinarian that prescribed it and tell them and go over any other medications that the dog may have taken and the dose and all that kind of stuff.
And Frisco, my youngest dog, also takes an anti-anxiety, and they work very, very well. It does knock him out a little bit, but normally whenever I give it to him, I keep him in his kennel. I don't let him walk around because he does walk. He crosses his legs a little bit. He walks a little funny. But I put him in his kennel where I know he's safe and I know he can't get hurt until I feel like it's worn off, and then you can bring it back out again. So I think he's probably pretty good. Do you shop at Publix?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, let me back up here.
Yeah.
I don't shop anywhere.
You don't do the shopping.
And I don't, I'm not going to say it's my wife's job, because that's, sexist, but it's just a job that she has taken on.
We play our roles. We play our roles.
We all play our roles. And if I'm off, if it's a Wednesday, I'm off on Wednesdays. And she says, "Hey, can you run to Publix for me? Or can you pick up a Target on your order on your way home from work? Or can you go to Costco?" The answer is yes. I'm not above shopping.
There you go.
But that's what she does. She gets off work at 3 or 4 o'clock. And if she needs to go to the store, she does. Yeah. So that was a long answer to say yes and no.
Every public place must allow service animals. That's usually a state law. Now, therapy animals are a little different. If you have a therapy horse, you're not going to be able to walk it through Publix, more likely. But this past Wednesday, Publix put a sign out in front of all of their stores saying "No pets allowed." They said their policy hasn't changed. They just have a sign to let you know you're not allowed to bring your pets in stores. I've never seen a dog in the Publix I shop at, but evidently in some Publixes, there are people that feel the need to bring in their small little dog and have it sit in their cart while they do their shopping. And evidently a lot of people are getting angry, but yet a lot of people are loving this new policy, if you want to call it that, because they don't want animals inside their stores. What's your take on it?
I'm going to side with Publix on this. Yeah, there's food in there, and I think that kind of becomes a little bit of a health risk, but also if these dogs are anything like my dog, they're going to go straight back to the meat section and have themselves a party. And so I think that some places, should be sacred. And I think that's a grocery store. And I've just seen, doing what I do, I've seen people in our lobby and they are, sitting there either waiting for a room to open up for them to take their pet in there, or they are sitting waiting for their pet to come to the front, so they either are just sitting in the lobby. They may or may not have a dog with them. And then another dog comes in from outside. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, that dog just decides that it wants to be standoffish or even aggressive to the person that's sitting in the room. Yeah. When, they haven't done anything to threaten the dog that's coming inside the building. And I mean, that kind of stuff can happen in a grocery store. And if I'm a shopper at Publix and I'm getting accosted by a dog, mm-hmm. I'm getting out of there and I'm not going to spend any money. Well, and I may not come back.
You're talking about a liability too. And maybe that's one of the reasons they're doing that. And listen, I love people that love their pets so much they think they're siblings, and that's fine. But this is a human world we live in. They are still animals. They're still dogs. And I'm not saying it would make me, I don't like going to restaurants where they allow animals. There's some restaurants where you can actually bring your dogs. Now they're normally outdoor restaurants, but I want to go to a restaurant. I want to concentrate on the people I'm sitting with, and I want to eat my food. And if I'm sitting on a back porch and I've done that, I've sat in the back porch with 3 or 4 different dogs that are begging and stuff while I'm trying to eat my dinner. I'm not into that. So I'm with you on that, man. And
I mean, dogs make our lives better. And, pets make our lives better, but other things make our lives better too. Yes. Like exercise makes your life better, but you don't exercise 24 hours a day. No. And you don't have to have your dog with you 24 hours a day unless it is a service dog, unless it alerts you when your blood glucose gets too low, or it alerts you when you're about to have a seizure. Or you're blind, and you have to have a seeing eye dog. There are situations where a dog is a medical device. And in those cases, absolutely. Yeah. That dog needs to be everywhere with you. But, when it comes to, I just want to hang out with my dog, there's some places dogs don't need to be.
Always a fantastic show. Tell people how they can find you, sir.
You can give us a call at 208-0301. You can find us on Facebook. And you can also email us at rossbridgeanimalhospital@gmail.com.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, man.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.